This small tree is an evergreen fruit tree. It's a native to Brazil. It's called the Jaboticaba. And Jaboticaba trees are quite famous for the grape-like fruit that will grow on the trunks and on the branches of the tree. I don't see any fruit now. There might be some inside the leaves here if we look. So why don't we do that now, and we can get a closer look at the tree at the same time. Here are some old dried up ones. It looks like they were probably ripe last month. So we'll keep looking here. Here's a few more, and again they look like they were a little bit past their prime. Here's a good one up here. I'll try pulling that one off, and we'll try tasting it. It's been pecked a little bit by the birds. It most closely resembles the flavor of a grape. And it's quite tart. It's pretty good. Besides the fruit, there are some other unique features of Jaboticaba trees that make them easy to identify. You can see, for one thing, they're a very nice ornamental tree, and they're often grown as ornamental trees in people's yards. One of the most distinctive things you can see are the salmon-colored leaves. When the leaves are young, you can see the distinctive reddish, like salmon-like color they have, and then they turn green as they get older. Now, I believe this is a Myrta variety of Jaboticaba, and one interesting thing about this tree, as you can see, it has very small leaves. I've seen others, and we have one down the hill actually that is a Jaboticaba that it has much bigger leaves than this, although they're the same shape and the same color when they're young. Another feature you might notice is just the size. This is a very slow-growing tree, and I'm guessing this one is about 10 years old. And if you compare that to this tree right here, which was planted around the same time, this is a block sapote, sometimes known as a chocolate pudding fruit. And the trunk here is at least 8 inches thick, and the second behind it is a second sapote tree that's almost as big. Besides the chocolate pudding fruit trees here, we have this curry leaf tree, and this seems to be pretty slow growing, but it is definitely larger than the Jaboticaba. This tree, of course, is famous in cooking. The curry leaf is used especially in Indian cooking as a spice. You can dry the leaves out and or even use them fresh and make sauces out of it. And then nearby, behind the Jaboticaba here, that is a mame sapote tree, but it doesn't have any fruit on it right now, and neither does the chocolate pudding fruit. And behind that is a cinnamon tree. But anyway, back to the subject matter, our Jaboticaba. Another feature you might notice is the scaly trunk. Guavas often do this too, and eucalyptus. You can see how the bark likes to peel off of the trunk. And here we can see some of the distinctive flowers. You see the flowers come right out of the trunk of the tree. And here's some right here. And those will develop into small fruit later on, as you can see, growing right off of the branches. Even this thick branch here, you can see, will have fruit on it right here in a few months. Now, the jaboticaba fruit is usually eaten fresh, but in Brazil they apparently will make wine out of it, and sometimes also here in Hawaii, sometimes you will see jams and jellies made out of the jaboticaba fruit. One of the problems with commercializing the jaboticaba trees the main problem actually is just that they're such slow growers. Nobody wants to wait a decade before they get any fruit out of the tree. The other problem is they can be quite finicky, and if the soil's not right, they may not grow at all. After a few years, they might die on you. And they like a nice, deep, wet soil. And they also, surprisingly, they can take a little bit of frost. As long as the temperature is not too extreme, for brief periods, apparently they can take a little bit of frost. But in much of the temperate world, though, it's just too cold for them. So a place like here in Hawaii or in some tropical countries, if the soil is right, they can make a great tree for an ornamental tree for the front yard. But commercially, they can have a problem simply, of course, because it's going to take so long just to wait for the fruit. Anyway, that's the jaboticaba tree.